Okay, students, so the next step here after I've done my hybrid grid on my photocopy, I want to come in and on my drawing paper establish the oval. And again here, if you look at the vertical axis and the horizontal axis, they're both mimicking the position that I had from the reference. Okay, so the first thing that I want to do is I'm going to again put the palm of my hand down here at the bottom, and I have to kind of get an idea of where I want to place my oval on my drawing paper. I don't want to place it too low. I don't want to place it to the left or to the right or too high. So I look at the center and about you know, 1/3 of the way down, so you got 2/3 down here on the bottom. Because you know you're going to be putting in the neck, the collar, the shoulders, maybe of the individual that you're drawing. So we want to draw life size as close as possible. So what we do for that is we measure out 1.5 of my hand on here. So I put the bottom of my hand here, make a mark there, make a mark on the top there, and then divide that. This is one of my hands, right? The width of one of my hands. So I divide that in half, and then I take that half. And add it on the top, right? Just like we did on the skull. All right. So that's the first marks that I make on here is the height of the oval, and then I do my oval, right? I do my oval. Again, we're not necessarily going to draw out up to these lines here. These are just to give us an idea of the overall scale. We may draw, our drawing may end up coming short of that, or may come over. So again, it's not an indicator of where we have to draw at on that line. It can be short or over or past that line. So then we put in our vertical axis, dividing this oval, and then looking at a horizontal axis to locate our anchor point, right? That's going to be, and I'm doing this with the 4B. Again, 4B, anything softer than a 4B, because we want these lines to disappear eventually. As we progress through the process, so that's good. So we're establishing our anchor point here. That's what we're looking for here, right here, right? Then we want to find the inside edge of our eye from here, and again we're going to look at walking. In the looking at analyzing the planiers on here, the planiers, the planes of different values here. And so I'm looking at one. You can even that brim of the glasses, right? Could be another one, but I'm going to just go with 1 and then 2. Okay. So I look at this, and then I want to do an approximate. Like here's that inside. The first plane of his nose, and then the brim, and then the corner of his eye. So it's about right there, right? It's about right there. And then I look at the shape of that eye. Remember, like on the skull, we're gonna look at that shape of that eye, and I'm gonna create that bow, that shape, the length that's in proportion to what I see there on here, and then make my mark there. Okay. Again, I always draw, you know, with a kind of a thick line or several lines, so that it gives me some flexibility where I can move back and forth on the size. So now I'm going to do this with my mechanical pencil, so I can be a little bit more precise here. So there, and there, and then divide that in half, and then divide that in half again there. So now I've got half quarters, and so this is my actual drawing scale. Okay. See the difference in the size? Reference much smaller. The on the drawing much larger. Okay, very important step here in order to find the placement of all of the facial features. So that's what I do here, and then I what's the width between the eyes? 1, right? So look at that. That's 1. That's the inside corner of the right eye, and then the length, right? There, right there. So that's find the location for the other eye, and I can double check here, make sure that this eye is about the same size as this one over here, and it is, right? All right. So now I've established that point right there. Okay. Don't worry about these lines in here. Okay, those lines, those markings, they're going to disappear. I did this in individual stages so that y'all could hopefully understand the process a little bit better. So now I have the oval. I've got the anchor point, the unit of measure, and now I'm going to be applying the H.A.V. Remember what that stands for? The horizontal angle and vertical sighting off of each facial feature. You need to apply at least one of these to each individual facial feature to help you place them in the right place and in the proper scale, and drawing them in the proper scale. So we start to look at the reference here, and again here I'm working with an 8B now. So I want to look at if I look at this, and you can mark your reference. You can mark your reference up quite a bit. So if I look at this and I do this right here, I can see an intersecting point right here where that brim of the glasses is at, right? But also if I shoot that up even further, right? And sometimes I'll right now I'm staying parallel with that vertical axis, but I can see where it hits on that horizontal axis, right? How far it is from that intersecting point on the horizontal axis to the edge of the glasses, the rim of the glasses. Okay, and so then I look at this, and here's where you start to also, again, this whole exercise is about observation, observation, observation. This is what the process is going through my head when I'm looking at a drawing. I'm not necessarily putting down all of these lines here, but I'm using them in a much more abbreviated manner to get a determination of where everything is sitting. So if I look at this negative space right here, I'm going to color this negative space right here. If I look at this negative space right in here, that little negative space there, and I'm actually observing that also, and I look at it in here as I do this vertical, right? Intersecting point, negative space in there, and see if it all kind of works in proportion, right? And then I'm looking at an angle, vertical angle here, by putting my pencil here and sighting it, right? Sighting that line, and I can see where it actually is intersecting over here with the brim of the glasses, right? So if I actually was to look at this, how I'm putting this out, right, I can see where it hits the edge of the glasses there, right? So I can actually come in and transfer that angle right over here like this, right? And then shape here, and as far as like and again, I picked this because this reference because it had glasses that had poor contrast in this area. It has teeth. It has facial hair. So has a good amount of wrinkles also. So it's a good reference to work from as a demonstration. So now I want to get an idea of the overall size of the glasses, the rim of the glasses. So I'm going to look at the space here. I'm going to observation from here, the top of the eye to the rim of the glasses, right? So I want to get that. So I'm drawing that and looking at that. Make a little mark there, and then I come from this corner over, right? Make another mark there. From this corner here over. Make another mark there, and then this is a big one here. But if you look at it, if you look at that space, I mean the eye is almost like squinting, right? It's almost like squinting. So that's a pretty good size there also. But it's almost the same amount as the top of the glasses there. So now I'm going to go from here. And I'm walking down. As I'm walking down, I'm measuring making these marks that indicate the planiers, right? So now I got 1, 2, 3, 4 dots, marks, right? And now I connect those, right? Connect those, and then make a horizontal, keeping it parallel, and then do the same thing. On this, you know, I get an estimate as to where the corners of the eyes are, especially the corners, because the top I'm going to go by the line that I just got through sketching on here, right? Doing that line there, and so now I've got a dot here, a mark, and then I connect those, and this gives me a pretty good size for the glasses, right? So that's what again, applying the H.A.V on that, and then so now on this one I'm starting to add a little bit of the planiers, because the planiers to me help me in establishing the placement and scale of the facial features. So just a little bit of the planiers as I start to block in more things. But again, here, if I need to find out where the bottom of the nose is going to be, I'm going to use my scale, right? My scale. This is just to kind of review the idea of using the scale. For my anchor point, it looks like it's from the anchor point down. Where's the end? Does the nose end? 1.5, right? 1.5. Okay. So if I'm working with that scale on this one here, which is on my drawing here is a little bit different, I guess. But if we're looking at this scale here, right? And we say 1, right? And a half right there. So that's the bottom of the nose. Okay, so that's how I'm going to be using my unit of measure. Just to be clear, I've sketched a different one on each sheet. So on this one it was a little bit different, but in size, but I'm still using the actual drawing size that I'm working with here for my unit of measure to establish where the bottom of the nose is at. Okay, and then I start to model the image with a little bit more hatching, and again, I use hatching, but it doesn't necessarily have to stay as hatching, because I can put down a little bit of value with my there's an 8B, and then I can come in and I can blend that out, right? Because it's a 8B is very soft, and I'm softening that edge there. So even though I put down hatching, it doesn't necessarily have to stay in hatching, although I kind of that's kind of my style. I like working with okay, my computer shut down over there, went to sleep. So so I continue to model it, put in some of those wrinkles. But the thing that I wanted to point out here was the eye. Look at the eye here. Look at that eye. You can hardly see anything in there as far as detail, right? So artistic license, right? Using my artistic license, I'm going to clarify that. I want to clarify where the iris is at, and even use more varied values in this area here, where you got all these wrinkles, instead of it being so dark. Much more gradated value range on there. Okay, so again, making your drawing so that you can see it, and the values are much more intense and interesting. So here again on this one here, as I redrew this one, several little areas that I want to point out here. But on the eyebrows, I haven't even drawn in the eyebrows, because I just kind of left them a gap there, because I don't remember what I said is I don't want to have any hard lines that indicate where the eyebrow is going to be. Then I start to here's another area where I use my artistic license. Again, if you see that lens here, you really don't understand that there's glass on there visually. So what I've done is I put a little bit of a glare there, a little dot highlight, and again added much more clarification to where the iris is, and just more detail in there that you can appreciate the drawing and the facial features. So I continue to draw, and then I've shown you how to do teeth, and you can see here what I'm starting to do is kind of focus on the teeth that are out here under the lips, right? And then adding some value on there on that top lip, and then adding more value as these recede back into the skull, right? Rounded teeth. Okay, so that's the process. Again, if you look at this area here, you can see where I've also started to indicate the tie, and I have two different references that I was using for this. That's the same. This is a close-up that I'm using so that I could grid it, but I'm also using this to get additional detail for this area down in here, right? But you can see how it's just a rough indication, right? Rough indication of where the tie and the collar are at. Very lightly, again, gesture line, definitely important. That the hair, that's going to be on another video. Okay, all right, the end of that one.